Welcome back to the Creating One podcast. And this podcast is about Black Panther and its sequel, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This is not spoilers. This is your spoiler-free review. I first want to talk about the legacy of Black Panther and what it means. And of course, even though Marvel has adapted the movie based on the actual comic book, some of the things are not exactly canon. And I'm not going to talk a lot about that, but one thing is for sure that I definitely want to include in this podcast is to make sure that you guys understand that this is the spoiler-free review. So what do I mean when I say spoiler-free review? That means I'm not going to talk about anything that is ongoing in the franchise, which means I won't be discussing details of Wakanda Forever, okay? I'm only going to be talking about the disconnect that I am starting to see with some of the reviews and the idea that Black Panther, quote unquote, T'Challa, should have been recast. This is an issue that a lot of viewers and a lot of fans have expressed. They started it right after the untimely death of Chadwick Boseman. And let me explain something to you first and foremost. When it comes to dealing with death and memorializing people, we all do it in various different ways. However, not too many people got the opportunity to be in Chadwick Boseman's life or be a part of the entire project for Black Panther. These people went to work with him every day, learned from him every day, shared space with him every day, watched him grind every day. And he did all of this all while battling a disease that challenged him day in and day out and eventually claimed his life. He had conversations with people that they are now thinking about, and those conversations will last with them forever. Just as with anyone that you lose, you'll think about the last conversations that you had, what they meant. Did they foretell a future? Did they bring closure? Did they fix, correct, or give peace to the person? And I can only imagine what it must be like for director-writer Ryan Coogler to try to come up with a script. Because let's think about it. He had an original script and plan that he shared with an ailing Chadwick, and then now he has to decide how to move the franchise forward. He mentioned in some interviews that he had decided at one point to just walk away from the project. The grief was just too overwhelming. And I realized that there are fans that wanted him to be recast. They wanted a man called T'Challa to step into that role. There is a difference between honoring someone and disrespecting the legacy. We watch Batman in DC. We watch Superman in DC. And we see the various different castings that come. We've seen Spider-Man recast so many different times. And every time these recasts happen, the franchise is resetting the deck. And it's rarely done, hardly done, or we hardly ever get a chance to see what actually comes from the recasting a member who has passed and transitioned. And so it's not the easiest thing for people who handle the movie, work with the actor, to be able to do, especially when the disease wasn't known. And I'm out here now reading comments still after people have watched Wakanda Forever. They're still grumbling as if they were promised that T'Challa was going to be recast. I actually ran into a comment from one gentleman who said, it looks like the franchise is trying to take it into making it all about the women. Well, first of all, when Black Panther was first introduced to us on the MCU, what did we see? He was accompanied by one of the Dora Milaje, which means everybody got an introduction to him, also got an introduction to his army, his private security. When his actual movie launched, Black Panther's movie launched, we got a chance to see the full spectrum of who they were. And really, to tell you the truth, we got a chance to see the full spectrum of who they were along the way in the various movies that Black Panther appeared in the universe. But how do you honor someone and pay tribute to them while someone else is recast in their role? I get it. A lot of people wanted to see Black Panther appear in the movie. But see, you don't get to work alongside those people who are mourning this man's passing. The people who have to come to work every day in the same club, basically, and see a missing member there. I realize it's been a couple years and people get an opportunity to mourn in their own individual ways. But sometimes you have to not be so desperate and be so thirsty and actually take a moment and digest the accomplishments that you had, why this person was cast in this role, and respect them. And you can do that and still move the franchise forward, which is exactly what Ryan Coogler did. And I have tremendous amount of respect for him for being able to do it and accomplish it, in my opinion, in a way that I had pretty much envisioned. So let me talk about my two visions for what I thought Wakanda Forever would look like. First of all, I'm not going to spoil anything, so you don't have to be concerned. I expected that there would be a mourning period for the family, but I didn't expect it to be the beautiful story that was told and how the characters were able to mourn the death, as well as the actors be able to mourn the passing of their family and their friend in Chadwick Boseman. And there is opportunities for the future of the franchise to be able to pick up and move forward. All of the earmarks were there, so people don't need to be worried and concerned. And I think the initial concern for at least a few of my friends was that if they let Black Panther die and basically follow the pathway of Chadwick Boseman, that somehow this would spell erasing Black Panther from the MCU. I never believed that. And let me say this. It is quite possible that there are people who have had such experiences in this world with injustices and racism and feeling left out and feeling disenfranchised that they walk in a proverbial fear like a victim. And these people are very difficult to build relationships with, I just want to say, because when you walk in a spirit of possibility and truth, and you see all of the possibilities where people only see things through a very narrow lens, it's very difficult to be in constant fellowship with them, because you find your job becomes more or less dragging them into seeing the world the way you see it. And when they can't see it that way, they turn on you and they call you sometimes some very mean things, because they don't have the patience to wait. They speak with God, but there is really not a lot of presence of belief and faith in God. They talk more about God when they are in triumph, when they are winning, when they have scored the winning goal. But when there is no scoring and you're just pillaging through life and doing God's work, and sometimes you come up on people and spirits that challenge you, you feel like you've been abandoned. Well, imagine being the writer-director, Ryan Coogler, who is not only feeling challenged in his spirit, but hearing the words of people believing that Black Panther is going to be gone, and he's challenged with the task of trying to move the franchise forward and still give honor and respect. We forget sometimes when we want something so badly and we don't get it, that it has been taken away from us. Sometimes you're disciplined to be able to allow things to come into their season. I've seen many movies force feed character changes even when the franchise has rebooted itself and the fans don't like it, don't receive it well. Many people are still dealing with the issues and challenges of their health as a result of 2020 and forward. Some of them are survivors, but yet somehow they have forgotten that sometimes you need to take some time and just enjoy the flowers and give people the closure that they need without the fear that if we don't hurry up and do it now. See, God has a unique way of getting us to be quiet, sit still, and listen and be patient. And this is reason why I say it's not okay to push people through grief, because you wouldn't want to be pushed through your grief. Maybe you have jobs and responsibilities that require you to put on the brave face and suck it up and get back into the game. But then all along the time you are doing this, you're just putting on performance art. It won't feel authentic. And that's the reason why I respect Ryan Coogler so much, because he gave an authentic way. He found a way, and he kept going through script and tear-ups and scripts and tear-ups. He even talks about it, where he shares it was challenging, but he knew he had to do this, but he also knew he had to do the right thing for his spirit. He has integrity. And there are times where I've been challenged by following some of his works because I feel he has a dependency too much on a particular actor. But I gained a newfound respect for him, and I learned patience through him honoring Chadwick and T'Challa in the way in which he did. And I totally respect it. And I do understand the reason why some people feel like just recast him and keep it moving. But you don't have to work with those people. You don't have to, bear the grief. And, it can be a very stressful thing. And people forget sometimes that writers and directors are artists. And writers, directors as artists don't get the respect they deserve in telling the stories. Sometimes we're happy when they tell the stories that we want them to tell, but we forget that they have to tell the stories that actually confirm and affirm in their spirit. And I think Ryan Coogler did an amazing job in doing what his conscience allowed him to do. And he was able to, I believe, give the fans an incredible movie. I do not think for 1 minute that Ryan Coogler believes that the Black Panther is gone. And how do you communicate that to people when you don't get the opportunity to share certain things with them? You just have to sit down and pay attention and think about who's actually gone from the franchise. We have the retirement of 2 characters, Iron Man and Captain America, but someone else will take up their shield, but they will never be those persons' names. There won't be another Tony Stark in this phase. Now, there might be another casting of him later, but right now, his death as a character, why should we give deaths as characters more love and appreciation than deaths of the actual art, the artist? Why is that so important? So it's nice and it's okay to pass the shield to Black Falcon, or pass the shield to Bucky, or pass the shield to someone else, and we okay with Tony Stark's death. But then when Chadwick Boseman passes away, we should just recast someone, stick someone else in there and push them along. Imagine being the actor who has to come behind Chadwick Boseman, recast it to play T'Challa as if there's no death here with Chadwick Boseman, and then have that person's performance be measured against the man who passed away and left basically that role open and incomplete. Imagine the task that person, because you know what? People who complain will always complain. And likely those people who will complain that they hurry up and recast him, don't let Black Panther die, would be sitting there saying, oh my God, that person was terrible. Oh my God, that person sucked. The movie wasn't even about him. Why was he even there? They could have got this person or that person. See, sometimes even when you don't think you need closure, you need closure. Even when you desire to move on and recast someone else, sometimes you need someone to say, no, sit down. I know that you're not physically experiencing grief, but you need to take the time to digest and understand the work. I was very surprised to see someone say, even after the wonderful job Ryan Coogler do, say, well, the movie didn't go the way I wanted because I actually wanted and expected them to recast. Well, they told you they weren't going to recast T'Challa. So I don't understand. What did you think? They're going to tell you this and then magically you're going to appear at the movie and then you're going to see it happen the way you wanted it? Look, I'm not going to give any review about the movie in this because I said this is spoiler free. But I want you all, if you haven't seen the movie, to get out and see it. And then I am going to be posting a spoiler alert review for those who have seen it and those who desire to see the spoilers. If you don't desire to see the spoilers, please do not watch the next clip, the next podcast, because the very next podcast will have spoilers. Thank you so very much for hearing my waffle on the Black Panther and the Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And I will see you guys in the actual spoiler review. Have a blessed one.